Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and the panel, and also the members on the committee for the outstanding discussion today. It was a broad view of what the discussion is going to be for the next number of years. The energy industry has changed significantly in the last decade, as we all know. Electricity from coal has declined. Our nation has become energy independent, and renewable energy technologies have put our nation on the path to continued carbon emission reductions. My district is facing the brunt of the transition away from coal as major plants continue to close, workers are laid off, and local economies are hurt. It is essential that new federal policies provide equality and opportunity for rural communities that are too often left behind. As the Biden administration pursues its robust climate agenda, I look forward to putting our word bipartisan climate proposals that support innovation and energy security. I will soon be introducing comprehensive legislation, the new Promise Act, to put impacted coal communities in the driver's seat, with economic development support for their economies and workers, mitigate the tax revenue losses, major plant closures that cause local economies to have impact, empowers workers, and more, including job training. Dr. Powell, or Mr. Powell, I'm sorry, I appreciate your testimony highlighting the need for pragmatic policies to support impacted communities and workers in the energy transition. Part of my legislation will authorize grant funding for communities to respond and repurpose coal-fired facilities for new energy production, manufacturing, and other purposes. Could you comment on how this and other policy solutions could reduce the assets, the strain on assets, and create real employment?
Thank you so much, Congressman. Thank you for your support of the Use It Act and so much other legislation that's tried to bring forward carbon capture and these other important technologies. Thank you for the upgrade in title as well. I didn't get quite that far, but take it here. I think that policy that tries to take advantage again of the existing infrastructure, as we discussed with Congressman Armstrong, has a lot of real merit. I mean, it's an absolute shame that units like the Navajo Generating Station that have all of the interconnects, probably a lot of boilers and other potential things that could be put back to use aren't being taken advantage of right now. I'd say the highest and best use for facilities like that are as demonstration sites for carbon capture technologies. So, continuing the existing use of those sites and continuing the existing use of the fossil fuel assets. We know we need to crack that technology if we're going to resolve global emissions. We know we need to demonstrate that somewhere. Why shouldn't we prioritize disadvantaged communities? And if it's not carbon capture technology, I do think that there's a lot of other things that could be done with those units and assets. For example, advanced nuclear technologies might be one thing that you could put in to repower an existing fossil generating plant like that. Low carbon hydrogen also might be something that you could bring in, whether that's produced from fossil fuels with carbon capture or produced from renewable resources. Might be something that you could bring in to revitalize those facilities and reuse those assets. So I think that prioritizing communities that are facing this transition and prioritizing using those existing assets is the way to do this, that both has the least impact on communities and potentially is the most cost-effective way to do it because you're using the existing assets.
Thank you, Mr. Powell. Mr. Gordon, a recent report stated that utility-scale energy storage installations will exceed 10 gigawatts by 2021. I was proud to see my legislation signed into law last year, which the committee voted for also, which will provide technical assistance, identify barriers, and financial resources from DOE to utilities serving rural communities. Could you discuss the importance of new energy storage technologies being considered with transmission resource planning? Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman. Yes, and in fact, in your own district, we have over 1,000 megawatts of combined solar and energy storage projects in development. So we are working with utilities in the state to address, their resource adequacy needs after they replace or decide not to build new fossil generation. So we are already in your district working right now to build significant amounts of projects.
Thank you very much, and I yield. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.